everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are here talking about the first grouping of the Merry Thanksgiving weekend that we had. And we're talking about 3 movies that were on Hallmark Channel. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner and author Lizzie Shane is here.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And I wanted to have you on because I knew you had a book coming out, 2 books coming out, which are very exciting. We're excited about. And then also because you wrote a royal book, I thought it was perfect. And you've written books about puppies. So it just seemed like, got to have you on for.
I mean, it really does seem like that sweet spot of like, I love all things royal and I love all things puppies. And like, we found the perfect place.
So it's been a while since we had you on the pod. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just writing, having fun, doing the thing, watching lots of Hallmark movies.
So you have this week, you have a new book.
I do.
Why don't you tell everybody about it?
My new book that just came out is called Pride and Puppies. It's not actually a Pride and Prejudice retelling. It's actually about a girl who is obsessed with all things Jane Austen, and she has been on this like quest to find her perfect Mr. Darcy, and it has not been ending well. So she ends up deciding she's going to swear off men and lavish all of her love and affection on someone who truly deserves it, which is her golden retriever puppy that she has just gotten. So, but then of course, in the process of, getting the puppy, she ends up finding out that there was someone who is this great, Austen-esque hero right under her nose the entire time, and she just didn't realize it. And it's very so it's a cute little small town puppies romance called Pride and Puppies, which is out now wherever books are sold.
So is the lead guy, is he a Darcy-esque character?
He's not Darcy-esque. He's kind of the anti-Darcy. He's a lot more of he's a little bit more of like a Wentworth, if you remember Persuasion. Like he's very like quiet or like Mr. Knightley, the guy who's kind of in the background the entire time. And then he's under her nose, but he's not a Darcy hero. He's very very, very, he's kind of a cinnamon roll. He's a sweetie, like he does not come across as a Darcy at all. So not what she thought she was looking for.
So what are the Pride and Prejudice elements in the story?
Well, there's a million Jane Austen quotes in the book. It's kind of more all Austen than specifically Pride and Prejudice. So each chapter begins with a Jane Austen quote, and there's a lot of little references, and there's like a Jane Austen tea in the middle of it where they all dress up and so stuff like that. So like there's a lot of allusions, but it's not specifically a Pride and Prejudice specific book.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. What inspired you to write it? Go down
well, I mean, I love all things Jane Austen. So I'm kind of always looking for an excuse to sneak her into my books. And I had written that in the previous book of the series, I had mentioned that the heroine was named after her name was Eleanor, and she was named after Eleanor from Sense and Sensibility. And this is her sister. And I was like, let's just dive in. Let's go all in on the Jane Austen for the next book. So
what's the first one called again?
The first book in the series is 12 Dogs of Christmas, but the one that has Eleanor is To All the Dogs I've Loved Before. So they're all very little punny puppy titles.
Cute. Yeah. I didn't realize they were like a series. I mean, I know that you have books with dogs in them, but they were connected.
They can all be read as standalones, but they do feature everybody's in the same little town in Vermont. And so it's all this cute little, and the sort of tagline for it is where every happily ever after begins by adopting an adorable rescue dog, because it all starts with like these rescue dogs. So
and what, do you have dogs?
I do. I'm she's with my aunt right now.
What dogs do you have?
She's the dog in To All the Dogs I've Loved Before is actually inspired by her. Her name is Gracie. She's an Australian Shepherd mix. Lots of energy, very, very smart. She's smart for her own good. She can open doors, which is not something we wanted her to be able to do, but it makes it. She's got lots of energy. She's got a lot of personality. She's a little crazy. It's kind of great.
That's cute. So then you have a book coming out in February, correct?
Yes. It's Sweeter Than Chocolate is my next Hallmark Publishing release. It is about a magical chocolate shop it's about a chocolate shop that may or may not be magical. The legend is that if you eat this specific chocolate, the Cupid chocolate at that chocolate shop on Valentine's Day, then you will meet your one true love. And so of course there is a skeptical reporter who's been assigned to do like a puff piece on it, like do a fun, fluffy, Valentine's Day piece. And he's like, I'm going to debunk this whole thing. And then of course he ends up falling for the girl who's making all the chocolates. So that's Sweeter Than Chocolate. It's coming out in January. It's super cute. I love this book. And yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm so relieved, because when I heard that they were closing up at Hallmark Publishing, I thought, oh no, I hope that it doesn't affect Lizzie's book.
I was worried too. This one had actually been pushed back a year because there were supply chain issues last year. They couldn't get like paper or something that they needed for like physically making the books. They couldn't get it. They had like a supply. I mean, it was when everything was all messed up.
That's wild.
And so they got pushed back a year. And so when I found out that Hallmark Publishing was going to be going through a transition, I was like, oh no, but it worked out great. It worked out, and so I'm one of the lucky ones who my book is still going forward. So.
No, that's good. That's very good. Well, it sounds very cute. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I hope you love it.
Yes. From the creator of the #1 Christmas podcast comes a new book to surprise and delight you into a happier holiday season. Christmas Past, the fascinating stories behind our favorite holidays traditions by Brian Earl, is out now just in time for the holidays. Available in hardcover and ebook from Lions Press, and as an audiobook narrated by the author from Recorded Books, behind every Christmas tradition is a story, often a forgotten one. When we pour the eggnog and trim the tree, we're continuing generations-old narratives without knowing their starting chapters. Until now, Brian Earl brings the same wide-eyed fascination and cozy nostalgia from the podcast to the book. Featuring 26 short chapters and eye-catching graphics, you'll want to have it on your coffee table or mantle all season long. Find out why Apple Books named Christmas Past a must-listen, and get a copy today wherever books are sold. And remember, it makes a great gift. Find out more at ChristmasPastPodcast.com. That's ChristmasPastPodcast.com. Well, let's dive into these movies. We have 3 movies that we're talking about from Hallmark Channel. We have My Southern Family Christmas, a #Xmas, and a Royal Corgi Christmas. And I would say actually I ended up enjoying all 3 of these. How did you feel overall?
I did too. I really did. I was excited that like the first one, I loved all of them. Like the first one with the Southern Family Christmas, like I'm such a sucker, Bruce Campbell and Moira Kelly, I'm in love with them. So that was a great start. And then the lead couple were it really was more about her than about the romance. And I kind of loved that. It was about her and her dad also. And I really loved the, that it was Louisiana, and it was kind of novel to have Hallmark without snow. And I really liked that they were doing that. So
well, let's dive into that one, and then we'll talk about the other 2. I know, it's great. My Southern Family Christmas, this was on the 24th. This stars JC Elliott, Ryan Rotman, Bruce Campbell, Mara Kelly, director Emily Moss Wilson, co-writer Elise Murray. It's under the guise of a journalist. Campbell has a chance to get to know her biological father for the first time without him ever knowing who she really is. As she spends time with him and his family, as well as with the town's record keeper, she realizes that families are messy, wonderful things. In the end, Campbell must decide if she's going to keep her identity secret or reveal the truth to her father, a decision that will change their family Christmas forever. So the thing I really admired about this movie, I mean, there were a lot of things, but I thought it was very well written. There were so many spots where it could have turned into real cringe, but Elise Murray walked that line, and it didn't. There were so many spots where I was like, oh no, they're gonna have so and so throw a fit here or be ridiculous, and then they didn't. And I mean, I just think this was a very, very carefully written movie.
I love that. I mean, especially the stepfather, the way he was really supportive of her instead of, and like her, I feel like everything felt very real. Like they weren't trying to make it out like she had, she didn't really know her father, and her father had sort of, abandoned the family,
Mhm.
and they didn't try and play that off as a elaborate misunderstanding. They just made it like, he was going through, and he had made mistakes, and he acknowledged that he had made mistakes, and he was just trying to, like, it was about redemption in a really nice way. And I
Yeah.
feel like if you don't acknowledge that people make mistakes, then you can't get that redemption. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and nobody was all as outraged that she was
Yeah.
lying. I mean, she probably, I don't know if she needed to lie, but we needed it for the story. And nobody was like, "Oh, you've been lying to us this whole time." And I was just so grateful because that is just cringe, in my opinion.
Well, and I loved that, like, she initially was one of the people who was like, I don't want to lie. I don't want to be like, isn't that dishonest? And then, like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to tell him the truth. And then she's faced with him and she's like, nope, gonna lie. Like, can't do it right now. Like,
Yeah.
it just felt really real that you like saw her panic and you were like with her in that moment,
Yeah. I mean, I was especially worried that Ryan Rotman was going to be like, I don't know, that was going to be a conflict,
Mhm.
that, oh, you've been lying to these people and whatever, and to the town. But he wasn't. He was just like, okay, I get it. I get why you'd need your space. And he was fine,
Yeah.
which was good.
They were so cute together. Like,
Yeah.
the nerdy meet cute was like
Yeah.
the most adorable thing.
Well, we've been talking a lot this season about Hallmark embracing the nerd chic.
Yeah.
And this whole weekend, I mean, pretty much everybody was some version of the hot nerd. All the guys. 'Cause
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
here for
really,
it.
we've had a lot because you've got Chandler Massey, you have Wes Brown, in Hall at the Holly,
Mhm.
with glasses and everything. And you've got Ryan Rotman here. Uh, I mean, I think you could even make a little bit of a nerd case for Grant Daughtry in hashtag
Yeah.
Xmas.
Yeah.
Uh, there's, and then, of course, we had Paul Campbell being in Three Wise Men. We had Brendan Penny early in Merry Measure. I mean, we just the hot nerd is making his presence known in Hallmark
I mean,
Channel.
I don't mind it at all. Like, I'm enjoying
I,
myself.
me too. More, please. Yeah, no, it's really fun. I mean, it works for me. I mean, it just adds like a sort of a sweetness because these guys are just usually kind of perfect.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. I love that. But like it just gives it adds to the, you were saying about the cinnamon roll.
Mhm.
It adds to the cinnamon
Yeah.
roll of the guys to have them be a little nerdy, a little awkward.
Yeah. It's so endearing. Like, I
It
just,
is.
oh,
Yeah.
I
Plus,
love
like
it.
it makes it feel like a little more believable that you have
Yeah.
these incredibly attractive guys that are in their, 30s and 40s without
That
without
haven't been
being
snatched
married.
up already.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes it okay. They're a little nerdy, so I guess it makes a little more sense. But, but yeah, it was fun. I mean, this movie we did have a cameo that I was not
Yeah.
expecting to have Wes Brown show up
The
in
red herring
this.
Hallmark hunk. Yeah.
As her boss. Another character that I could have seen being kind of like unreasonable, but he was supportive,
Yeah.
and he was fun. He was fine, and so she decides to go undercover, and I do feel like they missed out with this woman named Campbell that they didn't have. I don't think they had a gratuitous Campbell soup promotion in this one like they had in a lot of others. I mean,
It was right there. It was
yeah,
right there for them.
I was waiting for that. And I mean, I guess if I were going to say, I do think that it, like he explains why he didn't have a relationship with her at the end, the dad, but I guess it does seem a little surprising when it's so easy for more Kelly's character to find her and call her that he wouldn't have
Mhm.
done something. there wouldn't be
Yeah.
some kind of like communication. But I mean, I guess they tried to kind of answer that, question. But I don't know. How did you feel like they were able to kind of keep Bruce Campbell's character like likable for, he's usually, you don't have characters in a Hallmark movie that abandon their children.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think they definitely like I think he was still likable. I was trying to figure out the whole like I was trying to figure out for most of the movie like if he like secretly recognized her and was like letting her pretend that she didn't like that they didn't that he
Yeah,
didn't know or something like that. I was like,
same.
does he know? Does he recognize her? Does he see her? Like, and it turned out that he didn't. And I liked the way that they wrapped it all up. But I was like, is that what's going on? Is there like another layer here that I'm not seeing? So I was kind of watching for that the whole time. And so I think that kind of disconnected me from like, wondering from thinking as much about whether or not he had but I mean, I liked that they
Mhm.
really did emphasize that like he was a good dad now and that he knew that he had made mistakes and things like that. And that, you know, he did regret what he had done and he did miss his other daughter and really love his other daughter, even though he doesn't know that his other daughter is the person like standing right in front of him.
Right.
I think he's a very likable actor and that helps. Like he's someone that's very just like you want to like him. So I think that kind of helps you give him the benefit of the doubt too. At least it
Yeah.
helped me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was saying on Twitter, who would thought we'd get two Bruce Campbell Hallmark movies? It's very,
Right?
last year he was in one, and then now this year. So
I like this trend.
yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, he's very, very lovable and funny
Mhm.
and sweet, and they do have a nice moment between her and her father,
Mhm.
where she says, "You're my dad and a great dad."
Mhm.
And then he says, "I had a feeling this day would come," and he's totally supportive
Yeah.
of her going and on this journey that she does.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, when they totally honored him
I
as
really did.
her
Like he was,
father,
yeah.
which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Um, and then so she goes to Sorrento, and a big appeal for her in doing this is that she wants to meet her sisters, which I think that tracks, that even if
Yeah.
you maybe had issues with your dad, or reservations about meeting him, I feel like almost anybody would be like, I have to meet my sisters.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like that was really nicely done. Like
Hmm.
the way that like that initial motivation of being like, and she does get to know them, and I love the sisters.
Yeah, they were really cute. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, they really, this was a, like you were saying, this was a very different setting for a Hallmark movie.
Hmm.
I mean, first of all, no snow, shocking.
I
And
love that.
yeah, that was really surprising. And then also just so many. I mean, they really packed in the traditions for this, not only the
Yeah.
Père Noël, but the fire burning thing.
Yeah. The bonfires
And
on to light the way and everything. Yeah.
yeah, and then so many different foods that they had,
Yeah.
which were really fun. I almost felt like I was in Disneyland for a second, New Orleans Square, with beignets and meat pies, and it was just fun. There was something new around every corner. A new, and it's hard in
Yeah.
these movies to come up with new Christmas stuff.
Well, I'm just really excited that they're branching out beyond like it must snow every, like regardless of where you're set, it has to snow. And like I was just really excited that they are like I'm from Alaska, but my family's from Hawaii and we celebrate a lot of our Christmases there. And like there's no snow and there's very different, traditions. And so I loved seeing that. That was very exciting. That they're
Yeah,
like
it
expanding
was.
and that like maybe we'll see like a Miami Christmas or like I want to see
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, why not? Everybody celebrates Christmas. Like they had a movie on Netflix, Operation Christmas Drop, that was set in Tonga, I think, or
Oh,
Fiji or
nice.
someplace like that. which was, or Guam. No, it was Guam.
Ooh, I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah,
There's
it
so
was
many.
pretty cute. Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have so many of these. Like, why not have them in different places? And
Yeah.
so that was fun. And the whole tradition of the Père Noël was all new to me.
Yes.
So that was fun.
Yeah, I loved the Cajun Night Before Christmas that they read. That was so cute with like the
Mhm.
gators instead
Yeah.
of reindeer. I'm like, yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah. And she has the meet cute with Ryan Rotman's character. And it was fun. I mean, he's got
It
the
was they had
glasses.
Yes, and they had really great like banter and really like I was vibing with them. I liked them a lot.
Mhm. Like, I think that you probably could have done this movie without the romance, and I can understand
Mhm.
why some people might say that, but I still enjoyed it. He was cute,
Yeah.
and I don't think they spent too much time on it.
No, I think it added to it. Like I
Mhm.
think like it was very much about her story with her and her dad and her past and his past. But I loved that there was like a little romance in there and it was fun and it was also, you know, it provided a different note that you could play at different times when, you know,
Mhm.
things are very feeling very intense over here. You can, you know, you can drift over and have her steal a file from the cute boy. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was my most nervous scene where I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna overreact." But he didn't. He was just kind of
yeah.
like, "Cool."
He just kind of was like, I figured it out. I know who you are. I
Mhm.
figured it. Like he just he like he was very chill about like oh I've got this. I know what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. And that's when I was like, Elise Murray, she nailed it in the writing of this movie. And I mean, everybody knows that, like, she's a friend of mine. She's been on the podcast a bunch of times, but if I didn't think it was well written, I would just not talk about it or just whatever, like I wouldn't say it just because I'm friends with her. I think she genuinely did a really good job with this.
Yeah.
And the one spot where I really thought, does he know who she is? Because was when he asks her, out of all the people there, even his daughters are there to help him with the ornaments. I was like,
Yeah.
does he know? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I wondered the same thing. Like I
Yeah.
felt very like and
Mhm.
I think that was I wonder if that was on purpose, if they're trying to like make us wonder if he
Yeah.
knows. Like
And also when they're decorating, and he says, I'm giving you all access pass, like you're part of the family. I was like,
yeah.
does he know? It was interesting. A way to go.
Yeah.
uh
It was fun. There was little hints or question
yeah.
marks.
Yeah. And I thought that it was a fun thing when they made the ice cream cone snowman. That was
Yes,
cute. That was
that was
cute.
adorable.
Yeah. And then they had the frosting fight.
Of course, you have to have a frosting bite.
Uh, and she says, well, so Ryan Reynolds' character figures out who she is
Yeah.
because of the scene like you were talking about.
Mhm.
And she says to him, I have so many questions about the past and don't know who to ask. And then she goes to work with her dad on the food truck. So that's when Mara Kelly realizes that Ryan Rotman knows, and she's like, "Oh, finally someone
I
else I
love
can
how
talk to about
excited
this."
she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she was like, oh my goodness, someone else knows. Like I loved that moment.
Yeah, and so she starts to ask her dad about his time in Texas, and he's getting kind of upset by it because he feels really insecure about being the Père Noël
Mhm.
because of his past, and that insecurity was very endearing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I loved that, you know, they say that the ultimate father figure, you know, Père Noël was the ultimate father figure and him being like, yeah, I don't like him turning it down initially and being like, no, I don't think I can do that because he has that awareness that he wasn't always, you know, the great dad that he is, you know, to his younger daughters.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so then we have a scene where he says, and then he says, he tells her, I never stopped loving her. He tells
Mhm.
Maura, I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, I never stopped loving her. and then they have a dance together, or JC and Ryan. And that was fun.
Yeah.
And she says, my editor sending me to Morocco. Well, Morocco, that's where I want to go. That's good. And then they kiss, which was good. It was great. Mid-movie
Yeah,
kiss.
it was sweet.
Yeah. And then Bruce Campbell raises a toast to the family. And I just loved JC in this movie. I think that she was great and very
Really
endearing. And I thought she was just beautiful. Like, I loved how they did her hair throughout the thing. It was very like loose and beautiful. And so we already had her in the first movie this year with Romance and Style, where it was very body positivity heavy, because she worked in fashion. Like, some people were like, oh, it was too heavy. In my opinion, it didn't, because she was a fashion designer. So but it's nice for this one. She's treated like any other actress, as
she's a Hallmark heroine. She's a Hallmark heroine. Just that's the end of it. And it's she's great.
I thought she was just beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Gorgeous. And so it was nice to see.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Tells him, but then the reporters, reporters come in, and that's the whole scene on the
bayou,
Noel with the boats and everything. And she almost tells them, then these reporters come in, they got to have the story. Big story.
And the terrible timing. Of course, you have to have that one moment in Hallmark where someone gets interrupted by terrible timing.
Right. Yeah. and then, he says, of course it's complicated. It's family, which is true.
Yeah.
Families get complicated. And so then she goes for Christmas morning with Ryan Rodman. And they had like lots of cute little moments where they were like, oh, they're holding hands, or they're like, I love that. I love the like subtle handhold, in these movies.
Yeah.
That is the best. So they open the Christmas gifts, and she gives Bruce Campbell gives him a gift, and inside is a picture of him with her as a baby. And then he brings out all these notebooks that he wrote for her, and it was very, very sweet. Very endearing.
It was super touching. And that was like, I right until that very last moment was when he said that, she couldn't be his little girl because his little girl had darker hair. She had a crooked tooth. Like, you don't like the idea that he might have like considered it and then been like, oh no, she doesn't look like her. You know what I mean? Like that kind of worked for me. That like he might have even like maybe wanted it to be, but then been like, well, no, it can't be because that's not how my little girl looked, and like, oh.
And then we find out the why he didn't, that he went to one of her recitals and was in the back, and then saw that she had this very loving family and didn't want to step in, I guess. I mean, I feel like I can understand that, and it was a good reason, but I also feel like who can't have more love?
Yeah.
Like
I
anybody
think
can
there was,
have more people to love them.
yeah. I think that the Moira Kelly character even said that at one point in the movie, something about like you don't need a reason to have more love or something like that.
Yeah.
I really loved that line. I was
Mhm.
just thinking about like, yeah, that's my motto. You don't need a reason for more love. Like, yes.
Yeah.
And I like that. And the fact that she was sort of the catalyst for bringing it together makes sense because she's the who's like, all right, we need more love. We're getting
Yeah.
more love. Like, I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah. So and then she gets the secret ingredients in the meat pies,
Yeah.
because that's only shared with family. Yeah. So
Yeah. And then,
I would give this one. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. What would you give
I
it
think,
out of
yeah,
5?
I think I'd probably give it a 4.5 also. Like I really like, yeah, I really worked like it was just it was so enjoyable from start to finish. I loved everybody. And like again, they did kind of it was a kind of a hard line to walk, like
Yeah.
not having it go off the rails somewhere. And like they really did they did a really nice job with it. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one. I liked it a lot.
Mhm. It was really good. All right. Well, let's talk about #Xmas. This was on the 25th,
Woohoo!
and this stars Claire Bowen and Brant Dartrey, director Heather Hawthorne Doyle, writer Emily Bear. When Jen gets the chance to enter a brand's design contest, she poses as a family influencer, enlisting the help of her best friend Max and her baby nephew. When her video is selected as a finalist, Jen is torn on whether to go on with her perfect quote unquote family or reveal the truth. And when this when we were doing our preview for this one, I was not high on it. I gave it a coal. I hate the title. I still hate the title. I think it's not for me. Xmas, and just I would have just rather it have been the Christmas influencer or something like that. I don't like
Mhm.
#Xmas. But I ended up enjoying it. It's basically a modern day Christmas in Connecticut, which is I love Christmas in Connecticut. It's one of my favorite movies, period, ever. If y'all haven't seen Christmas in Connecticut, you need to see it. It's really the ancestor to all of everything that Hallmark does. Christmas in Connecticut was like the first that I'm aware of, at least the first like uh screwball comedy Christmas movie, and it's so funny and romantic and great. And in that movie, she plays a like lifestyle reporter, kind of. She writes like pieces that you'd see in like Martha Stewart Living or something like that, but back then. And she a column. She's not reporter, columnist. And so in Christmas in Connecticut, she pretends to be like this, have this great family and this house and this perfect Christmas and all this stuff. And but it's all, she's like a woman in the city and she doesn't have any of these things. But then this soldier comes back and he wants to like experience the perfect Christmas. And so they have to all pretend to be married, pretend to have the baby, pretend to be living in this farmhouse and everything. And it's really good. And they have like my favorite part is they not only do they have a fake baby, or I mean it's a real baby, but not her baby. They have three.
Yeah.
They have the women from the town come in and leave their baby, different women. And so like the soldier every day, he's like, wait, this is a different baby. I don't know. It's really funny. So it's a great movie. Y'all should watch it. And this is definitely inspired by that, her line, creating this fake family. But I thought it for the most part worked. And I don't know, what did you think of it?
I love fake relationship. Like that's like I'm such a sucker for that trope. Anytime it's two people who are like pretending to be in a relationship, but they really have feelings underneath the surface, I'm like, yes, I will. I'm totally down for that.
Mhm.
I love this But the one thing that like I didn't love as much is and a little negative on herself and like the self-doubt, but it got a little too heavy for me toward the end. Like it went on a little too long that she was her negative talk about herself,
Mhm.
like went on too long for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I really loved the movie.
I like that they were honest about things like anxiety and
Yeah.
things like that. But I think that she was way too harsh on her mother for a movie like this.
Yeah. It
Like
was
that was too much, I think, for me.
I
But
think yeah.
go
I
ahead.
really I thought that yeah, the relationship with her mom was just a little like yeah, it was a little rough and like I I can I can have that harshness, but I need to know why. Like when she's so harsh on herself, I need to know why. Or when she's so harsh on her mother, I need to know why. And I felt like I didn't quite connect with that. But I really enjoyed like all of the screwball elements and like I loved the premise and I loved the actors. Like I think it was just it was just a little too heavy in that direction in some places.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I was a little I forget where they said this was supposed to be because she's in like t-shirts and short sleeves a lot. Like
It was supposed to be Oregon. It was Astoria, Oregon.
Oregon.
I remember that. Yeah.
Because then you
And I
see
guess
like
Oregon.
you see snow and stuff too
Yeah.
in the movie. And so I'm like, that was weird. She's in a lot of short sleeves.
She's very well, I mean, I'm wondering if they maybe filmed it. It was really hot outside.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was.
You never know.
But so basically she is friend zoned Max like super hard.
Mhm.
And they dated for 6 months in college and then decided they didn't have enough in common. So they decided to just be friends. And so she's sort of feeling like, well, we still don't. She's like, she's carrying that idea of why they broke up in college all the way to now 15 or so years later.
That they just want different things.
Yeah, that's what she kept saying.
But it's so obvious he's in love with her. And I'm like,
I
wait,
know.
oh, the perfect guy. Come on.
But I am a big sucker for friends to lovers. I'm sure it's very difficult to write as far as the tropes.
Well,
I
I
don't know
think
if you,
when you're kind of blind to those like you have to make it credible that somebody would not jump on like this is someone who's amazing and who's connects with me in so many ways. Like why wouldn't you make that step? There has to be that obstacle there. And I
Mhm.
mean for her it felt like her mental hangups felt like they were the main obstacle. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Well, and just like
This one?
not like getting too comfortable and then carrying this idea from, when she was very young to now and not sort of realizing that things had changed. But
Yeah.
I really liked Anna Van Hooft as her sister. Like
Yeah.
Anna Van Hooft almost always plays the wrong girl. Or she's really good at it. She's good at playing like the villainous
Mhm.
type of role. But it was kind of refreshing to see her in this sister role, being a mom. And I thought both her and Claire Bowen have great hair.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The
I'm so
curls.
jealous.
I love the curls. That was great. And I didn't 100% love Claire Bowen's performance, the acting. I don't know, so it didn't quite connect with me. But I think this is one of Brant Daughtry's best roles that he's done.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times I struggle with him and chemistry with his leads, but this one it was supposed to be a little bit awkward. And I thought overall this was one of his strongest roles for Hallmark.
I thought he did a great job. And
Yeah.
I mean, I have kind of a soft spot for Claire Bowen because I loved her in Nashville in the first season of Nashville.
Oh yeah.
And so I was just like, oh yay, she's a Hallmark heroine now. But
Yeah.
I did
There was just like a self-consciousness to her performance that like you could see the acting. I don't know, just didn't quite land for me. But it wasn't like terrible, but it just didn't quite get for me for her character. But yeah, I mean, and I think maybe that her hostility towards her mother,
Yeah.
maybe so is also the writing that maybe made it difficult for me to buy her character sometimes. That she was, and she was a little bit all over the place as far as her emotions, which, like, I guess in one way is realistic, but another way you're kind of like, what's this character?
There was some really great like one-liners. She had some really great like snarky one-liners that she said.
Hmm.
Like I like I just like I think there's a moment where like there's like a line where someone says like, is this you not laying on the guilt because you're doing it wrong? Like
Yeah.
I just
Also,
I thought those were great, but then
yeah.
but the snarkiness could also veer a little too harsh in places. I
Well,
think,
and
yeah.
also, like, I feel like I don't know how you raise two children and literally know how to make nothing. Like,
No
to
food.
not,
Yeah.
like, I know that some people are not that good of cooks, but I feel like most people at least have like a couple dishes that they can make, like the, I don't know. Like, do you
I
really, are
think
you,
I felt like to me that felt like the setup for like setting the kitchen on fire. Like I was like, okay,
yeah.
we're leaning into like we're gonna set this kitchen on fire. That's gonna happen.
But it was funny. Well, yeah, when she puts out that fire extinguisher,
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
And so the mom's really excited about this pretending because she wants to have a relationship with her daughter, so at least they can pretend to have a relationship. And they say, I know it's fake, but it kind of feels real. And they reach 100K followers, which I guess is realistic if this is like a very popular contest / show.
Yeah.
Very popular. And she becomes a finalist.
I love that
And
it was like top 20 finalists, top 10 finalists, top 3 finalists. I was like, do we not have like quarter and semi-finalists? We're just
yeah,
all finalists.
that's true. That's true. And then we have also Zoe and Charlie as characters.
Mhm.
They were interesting. They are the hosts of this competition. They're a married couple. They're seen as like the perfect married couple. And the various scenes where they're trying to kind of trick Zoe and Charlie were pretty funny.
Yeah.
They have to pretend that there's no nursery. We have him stay at a decorated neutral place.
For his cognitive development, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
And then when they're like passing the baby through the window.
Yes. I love that. They said, if you're wondering where we crossed the line when we passed the baby through the window, this is the line.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was really funny. And of course they asked to see like wedding photos. And the mom's like, I'd like to see those too. Which was funny. And so then they're also kind of, Grant Audrey's like, let's go to our room where we both sleep as husband and wife. Which was funny.
Is what husband and wives do.
Yeah, and he says, there are times I forget this is fake. It's a version of my life I could actually have someday. So that was sweet.
I just started being like, she needs to wake up and see him right there in front of her. He's so great.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I mean, it does feel like you really don't see it, but I still kind of love it. I don't know. I get invested.
Yeah, no. I mean, I bought it. I definitely bought it, but I was definitely like at that point shouting at my television, like in a good way, but definitely.
Yeah. So they have Heige as a theme of the movie. That's how do you describe? They have a hard time describing it in the movie, but it's like home, friendliness, warmth. If you
coziness,
watch, if you watch the Broadway version of Frozen, there's a whole song about it.
Yeah,
about Heige. So that not Olaf. The
sauna guy sings it.
The sauna guy. I forget his name. But anyway, he sings it. It's fun. And then we do have her talking about like she gets feelings that are spiraling out of control, struggling with her anxiety. And I thought that was nice to include. It definitely helped you understand her character better.
I really loved there was an ongoing theme throughout the whole thing that I really loved, which was just the idea that the holidays don't have to be perfect to be
Hmm.
special, and like that nobody is perfect, and that like it's okay to mess things up. And like there was like a moment with the gingerbread where she said something about like oh shoot where it was something about like it's not how it looks, it's how you feel making it, or something like that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I kind of felt like that theme throughout, where it wasn't about appearances, it was about like the emotion. And I liked that I think that worked, especially in sort of something about influencers, that like it's, there's always this perfect picture, but it's not
Hmm.
about the perfect picture. So
Yeah.
I like that.
I do too. I do too. So they have this Christmas dance, and then they get in a pretty bad fight between her and her mother. And
Mhm.
I guess I was thinking about it because I really did not like Magical Christmas Village. I don't know if you saw that this year.
I
I
did. I didn't really
like
care
the
for it either.
fighting between that mother and daughter. I did not like at all. It was too harsh for me. And this was pushing it. It was getting there. It wasn't quite as harsh as that movie. It was pretty harsh though, when she's like, I know you love me, but you just don't fully show it. And then the stepdad saying all she wants to do is be loved. So cut her some slack. And I felt like, I guess that I'm trying to think why one worked for me and the other I was very turned off of. Um, and it's hard. There's so many things that go in. I guess there was enough lighter things in this movie. And it was enough there was enough redemption kind of in the end, and I still didn't like it. I mean, and it's not that you can't have conflict, but I just don't think it works in these Hallmark movies to have people being like hateful, like outright fighting like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
So
think
I don't. It's hard to explain why something sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. But this was better for me. I still didn't love it. That part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I felt like I didn't entirely understand. Like I know that there was, her dad passing away, and there was the backstory behind it and all of that. But I guess I didn't really get like why how it had gotten to that level of animosity with her mom. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
I agree. They could have done better with that. And I don't know, just I appreciate that the stepdad said that. But I
I
felt
liked the
like
stepdad character. He was very like low key.
yeah, he was. He was good. And maybe because the mom was funny and the whole movie was just like a little bit funny, so I found it more palatable. But I don't like this in Hallmark movies, people just like outright fighting and
Mhm.
being mean to each other. That's not part of this. It just doesn't fit tonally. I don't think it works for the characters. And you're right. This one, like, there wasn't enough. It just felt harsh. Like, why is she being so mean?
Yeah, I think the why was the thing that was
Hmm.
missing for me. Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay, there's gotta be a reason behind this. There's gotta be like some moment that like
Hmm.
was the straw that broke the camel's back or whatever. Like what is it that has, because she had kind of just a very consistently, like she was assuming the worst about her mom kind of throughout. And it wasn't so much, I mean, to me at least, it didn't
Yeah.
feel as much like she like started to believe in her mom and then had her previous suspicions confirmed or anything. It was just, she was just consistently expecting the worst of her mom. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess for me, the difference is that everything, even though I didn't like this one aspect of this movie, everything around it for the most part I enjoyed. Whereas like Magical Christmas Village, I really didn't like almost anything about that movie. I mean, you can all listen to the episode, but it just didn't work for me. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But yeah, it was an interesting element of this. So he gives her this gift full this photo album full of pictures of her, which I thought was a little weird. I mean, I guess it's an influencer kind of movie, but I don't know. I just think like I would want pictures of like me doing stuff or like with friends, more of an album. Like it just
Yeah.
felt a little awkward. I thought him like giving her, here's an album
I
of
mean,
all the pictures I've taken of you. Like,
I see what they were going for because
yeah.
because he was like, they're all pictures that he took of her, and like she realizes later that like she looks so happy in those pictures because she's looking at him. But like I kind of wanted them to be pictures of them together.
Yes, that would
or
have been
something,
less
like,
weird.
but because I also don't really love pictures of just me. So like, I like having those like pictures with people,
Yeah.
like, and so, but I see what they were going for. I definitely see what they were trying to do with it, where like he was saying he wants her to see herself the way he sees her, because she doesn't see herself in a positive light, and so he's trying to be like, no, see, this is how great you are, this is how I see you. So I see what he was trying to do. Like I see what they were going for. I don't know if it worked, but I see what he was going for. And again, like you were saying, there's so many cute things about this movie. There are so many things that did really, really work.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of like I was on board for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, there were cute moments and there was just enough funny lines. And I liked when he was they have the whole mistletoe kiss scene. That was fun.
I love they have like a whole like post-mortem afterwards, like discussing the kiss.
Yeah, the incident like, with the mistletoe didn't help things. And he says that that he wants her to see yourself the way I see you, which is very endearing and very sweet.
He was very sweet throughout. Like
he was.
Yeah,
he was.
He was a keeper.
And he says, what if we forget this contest and make this real? Give this another shot. And she says, she's like hesitating. And he says, you're not sure, or are you just afraid? And so, I thought that was, I mean, it's really good. Friends to lovers. So,
yeah.
Very good.
Well, and it does seem like later they talk about like her dad and how crushed her mom was by that loss, and how that fear that not wanting to let herself be loved or love or be loved came from that. So like you kind of see where that came from, which I like.
Yeah. I mean, she's just realizing that the comfort zone that she was in, that maybe it really wasn't what she thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the dance. She wears this green dress, which I thought looked beautiful. She looked great.
She looked fantastic pretty much throughout.
Yeah, she rocked it. Yeah.
Yeah. So did he. Like, they both looked great. Good for them.
So then Charlie and Zoe are at the dance. And then he says that he's going to go to Portland. He says, I stayed here for you. And then and he says, I know it was fake, but it felt real to me. I've never not loved you.
Yeah.
It was very sweet.
That line.
Yeah, I was like Brant Daughtry with the swooning.
That was very, very swoon worthy. Very swoon worthy.
Yes. And then so they're having this big speech, and Leo, the baby, says mama to and she finally realizes that this is not going to work. So she confesses and says, I'm a bus crash and a train wreck. So that was good. That was well done.
It felt very much like, one of those scenes at the end of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or something, where like everything blows up in the big public way. And I kind of like, it can be a little cringy sometimes, but at the same time, I was like, I'm glad that it all came out. You know what I mean? Like we need it all to come out so that we can have the catharsis. Yeah,
it was good. And then she says, I liked liking myself. And then he says, you were being you, just more confidence and less self-doubt.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then she posts in her apartment and says, asks for forgiveness from the followers. And I do feel like this is kind of the thing that would probably blow over pretty quick. Yeah. And it would be like a big thing everyone talking about, and then it would be moving on to the to the next thing. I mean, that's the cycle.
Yeah.
And then she talks to her mom, and the mom says, "You've got to fight for him. I saw the way he looks at you, the same way you look at him." So that was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they make up, and she says, "I love you, Mom." And that was sweet too. That was good to have that moment. We needed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Charlie and Zoe took being around the fake for us to keep trying. So that was nice.
Yeah. And I feel like their whole thing was, that they were still seeming to be fake, still seeming to be perfect, but they had fallen apart a long time ago and they needed to learn how to reconnect again. And it was nice seeing that. So
yeah. So she gives him the album of pictures, and she says, "Max, I love you." And then they kiss, which was nice. Yeah, it was good. So yeah, so this one, I feel like I sounded more down on it than I am. It was just the one plot line with the mom that I didn't love, but for the most part it was really funny, and I really enjoyed the romance and this kind of screwball elements of it. So I would probably give this one a 3.75.
I
What
think
would you give it?
I'm about the same. I'm probably like a 3.5, 3.75.
Yeah,
Like I really, again, there was so much, I laughed a lot. Like I enjoyed myself so much. I laughed a lot. I enjoyed it, but I toward the end, I got fatigued with some of the little negative elements. Like
yeah.
I was really for it all. It just kind of it built up a little bit, I think, for me, but again, I loved it. It was fun. I loved, like, the hero was totally swoon worthy. Like everything was, like, it was delightful. And I love a fake relationship. So like, I don't know. I'm going 3.5, but it's like a happy 3.5.
Yeah, I think we're basically the same on this one.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Let's talk about Royal Corgi Christmas. This was on the 25th, starring Hunter King and Jordan Renzo, director Claire Niederprum, writer Irene Dobson, and its reluctant Crown Prince Edmund returns home just before Christmas in anticipation of being named successor to the throne. To ingratiate himself to his mother, the queen, he gifts her with mistletoe, a rambunctious corgi in need of some serious training. After several doggy disasters, Edmund turns to Cecily, a canine behavior expert from America, for help. But to his great surprise, Cecily demands that he take an active part in the daily dog training sessions. Sparks fly between them as the pair work together to get mistletoe ready to present at the annual Christmas ball. Just as the precious pup captures their hearts, they discover that love can grow in the most unexpected places, leading them to question what they really want. So we as we talked about, you have a royal book.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
That I really enjoyed. And you have lots of books about dogs. So, so how did you overall feel about this one?
I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it as like, oh, this is like, it was like delightfully ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they were going for like reality here. And like, I enjoyed that about it. Like, I kind of felt like, it was this, it was the imaginary kingdom, which I love when they have, like, when we make up a kingdom, it makes me really happy. I don't know why. But
Yeah.
and I loved the corgis, and like it felt like there were times when it felt a little obvious, but like I kind of felt like in this kind of movie it worked for me. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, there
so
was
like
like a
I had fun.
little bit of camp in there. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
talking like Christmas Prince on Netflix, like
No.
not that level.
No.
But like there was a little bit with this. It wasn't taking itself super seriously. I
Yeah.
mean, it's maybe like we already had the Royal Nanny as well, and that was
Mhm.
so good.
Yeah.
That's a lot to compare it to. But I still thought this was pretty fun. And I think I've never seen this Jordan Renzo before. He is a find, I think. Right?
A very believable party prince, right?
Yes. He was so handsome and just like perfect for this role. I
Yeah,
thought.
he definitely worked the Playboy Prince aspect. It worked out
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah, it was good. And then Hunter's is a lot of fun. I absolutely loved the interview I did with her. She was so good. So I think I can understand why she's kind of Hallmark's new favorite.
She was
did
a lot of fun. Yeah.
3 movies this year for Hallmark, and she's great and just so easy to root for from the very beginning. You're on her side from the very beginning. But yeah, I mean, you do have to kind of go with the fact that they would bring this person all the way over from America. And the super snobby villainous dog wrangler, I
Yeah.
guess.
The corgi handler who doesn't seem to like dogs. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's your villain if he doesn't like the dogs.
What did you think of the princess character, the sister?
I actually liked the sister a lot. I really, really enjoyed her. And I thought it was kind of like, I felt like they were telegraphing where they were going with her a little bit, like what was gonna be her end game. Like, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed, like, again, like I had fun. And like you were saying earlier, like the movie's trying to be fun. I had fun.
Yeah.
And
it you didn't feel like she would be interested in this snobby guy. Like I was surprised at first that they were going that route. I'm like, are they going to redeem this guy? Is he going to end up actually being a nice guy? Because what on earth does his sister see in him?
Yeah. And I mean, she's a catch. So she's literally a princess. So.
Yeah. But they gave her a good like moment of dismissing him.
Yes. That was fun. When she tells him to get out.
Yes.
It was very satisfying.
Yeah, and there were fun moments like when they make the cottage pie in the kitchen. That was fun, I thought. Very cozy.
Cute. Yeah.
I always love it.
Oh my gosh, the most awkward curtsy in the world. That was so
well done.
What?
That was really funny.
And I was like, how did like, I don't know
like
what
it was
like praying at the same time.
That was really funny. And the dogs, anything with the dogs was so cute.
The corgi derby was like, that was just adorableness. It reminded me of a video I saw of like a puppy race that was trying to happen, and like the puppies are not just running in circles and going wherever they want to go. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so cute. Like when they were giving the corgi a bath, that was adorable. And so the Wrangler guy, he tries to make her look bad with because her friend Jacob comes over and he's made this whole like guidebook or whatever, and that is somehow like, I don't know. So the Wrangler takes this book and he shows it to the prince and he's like, look, she's been studying you, this is all a plan, and then he gets all upset.
That she's like manipulative and trying to cheat him, and all of this. The binder, the evil binder.
Yeah. And the whole time he's working on his speech to become the next monarch
successor.
Yeah. and he's talking to his sister, and she already knows exactly what she would say, and she writes his speech. And that's when he realizes, like, why isn't the right person for the job getting the job, so that was a nice element, I thought.
Yeah.
It was good.
I liked that her character went that way. I like that the princess was like, yep, she's the one. Like, she's been there all along. Like that it worked out nicely.
Yeah. And then she has the blue dress. I was surprised that they went not only blue, but like that color of blue.
Like,
I mean, I would just expect it to be, usually Christmas movies, it's either red or green or like some kind of metallic color, silver, or like in the one Royal Holiday, that one, she wears a silver dress. And so I was a little surprised that it was like not only blue, but like woo blue. But she looked, I mean, she rocked it.
Great.
She looked amazing. So it was a pretty good reveal, because sometimes these princess movies, like the big moment of like, whoa, isn't quite,
you have to reveal the dress.
And this was like, she looked great.
I feel like there are certain elements that you have to have in your royal movie. You have to have the ball, you have to have the reveal of the dress, like you have to have like the awkward royal moments. Like there's all these great, and they were all there. They were all they were in the notes. There was something that just felt super ridiculous to me, like that she managed to like when she's training the dog and she manages to teach him to sit in like a minute or something like that, and I'm like, I don't feel like that's how that works.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was sped up. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, and also they worry because now Mistletoe has bonded both equally with two of them.
Yeah.
Which I feel like an actual dog trainer would plan for, like make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think I think they were trying to use it as like to show that they're meant to be together, because he bonded with them as like a couple. But I agree that like it would have been something that if she were, but I mean, it sounds like she sort of is a self-taught dog trainer. And like, because she was something she sort of started using her psychology degree while she was also walking dogs or something like that. So she probably has her own methods. I don't know. This is my theory.
Yeah. Well, she has evidently a whole YouTube channel.
Yeah. I loved that she reached out to him and like just somehow managed to like send an email to like the palace or something, like I don't even know how I would send an email to the palace, but she knows. Like, I like that about her. She takes initiative.
So then then he fires her, and we get this scene between the queen and the prince, where she says, "Oh, I researched her, and she's the real deal and everything." And I feel like you also need that scene where sort of the queen or king gives permission to, that's in these movies. And then he goes, because he was being a brat, because who wouldn't want to be prepared for something like this and to know kind of what he's going into, or at least like ask her some questions about it, not just be
not just assume that you're like being used and manipulated. Like, no, she came in like with information on the royal family because she was going to be working for the royal family.
Yeah, like who wouldn't? But then he comes around pretty quick, so it didn't annoy me. And he says, she's saying goodbye to Mistletoe, and then he says, why won't you stay? And he apologizes, and he says, I'll be happy if I can get a piece of pizza with my person, our person. So cute. That was adorable. So yeah, it was a fun movie. I would probably give it 3.25 rounds.
I think, I'm in that same range, like the 3 to 3.5 range. I kept vacillating back and forth between 3 and 3.5 because, like I said, it was really fun, but it it didn't like hit me quite as much in the feels as I wanted it to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like,
So you're the same with me basically in 3.25,
yeah,
like right in the
I'm
middle.
kind of there. I
Yeah.
love how I don't seem to want to do quarters, but yeah, 3.25, I'm doing it. Yeah. But like, yeah. So like, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, but I didn't connect with it emotionally as much as I think I wanted to.
That's fair. I can see that. So let us know if you're listening what you think of all three of these movies. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And our Facebook page for the moment is not working right. So just make sure you connect with us through Twitter or Instagram or any of the other social medias. Facebook is having problems. But where can they follow you if they want to follow you on social media? And also the book is out right now, right?
Pride and Puppies is out now, and you can pre-order Sweeter Than Chocolate. You can find both of those on my website. It's www.LizzieShane, LizzieShane.com. And I am on Twitter and Instagram at Lizzie Shane AK, as in Alaska. And I am on Facebook at Lizzie Shane Author.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So definitely check that out. And yeah, you can follow us at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. That really helps people find us, especially during this holiday season. And so please help us out there. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our patron group, which is a lot of fun. We've got some really good watch alongs coming up that we're planning. So you want to be a member of the Patreon and participate in all of the fun things. I mean, right now you can't really do much with the Facebook group, but we have a lot of fun with the Patreon. So please check that out. And also, and also check out our merch store where you can get all kinds of fun festive designs and help support the podcast. So we appreciate that. And thanks again, Lizzie. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And I wish you very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hallmarkies.
Bye.